Welcome back to my playthrough of the game Wellington's Victory, the Battle of Waterloo. I'm playing the full Waterloo scenario here, and I have had a break for at least a month, which I covered this up. So we're coming back to the battle as it was, and continuing from there. The turn track shows 5:45. We actually started at 9:15 in the morning. The battle can go till 9:30 in the evening. But the question is, will it last that long? What we have here is Hougoumont and Le Haye-Saint here. And so you can see this was the famous ridge line upon which Wellington had massed his troops. And you can see he has been pushed off, half of it, by the French. We have the French second corps here, first corps here, and then elements of the guard here and here. And then down here we have some fifth corps. There's some fifth corps here, there's some first corps. The first corps stretched all the way out to here. This is the fifth corps, and there's more fifth corps coming on here on the roads. They are coming on to meet these extended columns of Prussian units. Wellington's Dutch have moved down from off here to sort of spearhead the Prussian probe into the French rear. So the Prussians have just started forming up. All of their corps are now on the board. There's actually, sorry about the darkness at the back there, there's not much I can do about that without glare. But anyway, there's a cavalry corps coming on here. We have a cavalry corps here, and then we have an infantry corps here, another one here, and another one here, and then another cavalry corps off. No, sorry, that's it. So, but you can see there's quite a lot of Prussians coming on, and Napoleon has just sent one corps out to hold them off. It looks like it's going to be a close run thing, because the situation where we are, we're just about to come up to the 6 p.m. turn, and the morale levels are these. This is the French, this is the Prussian, and this is the English. Now, if somebody's morale drops to 0, their army is pretty much done for. That would pretty much decide the game. But you can see the French, their morale is lower. However, that belies what's actually been happening, in that the French up to this point, they've been taking more losses than they have been dealing to the Allies. And in the last this half hour, shall we say, you can see this is French losses, this is Allied losses. The Prussians have no losses yet. The Allies are taking a heavier beating. And so this is the French morale, this is the Allied morale. This is going to start going down at a quicker rate than this is going down. However, Napoleon has committed a lot of units. He's got 29 formations, so we say, committed, as against the Allied 26, the Prussians of 18. So these numbers are subtracted from here on every hourly turn, and also all the unit losses within that hour. So you can see that at this rate, at 6 p.m, the French are going to take 30, and then let's round it up to 10, 40 off. And then the British, the Allied I should say, are going to take 26 plus another 20, so that's another 40. Actually, I look at it now, it means that the French are obviously going to, that they could only last 2 more hours, and then the third hour, well, that will be the 9 p.m. that they're going to break. So the question just is if they can continue upping the losses on the Allied units. And the point essentially is that only in the last hour have they really pushed back. Now they came round the flank of Wellington. That was their plan right from the start, so they obtained that quite quickly. Wellington refused his flank to gain this kind of dog's leg, but it's only really in the last, and that lasted for quite a number of hours while the French were sort of bringing units up and organising artillery and so forth. It's only really in the last hour that they've actually managed to push forward, so that they were being held off about on this line, and now they are here. So this is so they were taking lots of losses as they were trying to get through, and now the Allies are on their back foot and they are retreating quite rapidly, and their stronger units have been taking heavy losses. In fact, two were surrounded and surrendered just here. So it's going to be a close run thing. The Prussians are not really going to be knocked out, because then there's not going to be huge fighting there. They're just going to be trying to push through to try and exhaust the French in losses and or their commitment of the Guards, should we say. But Wellington's hoping that he's going to activate one of these in a minute and just sort of sweep round and cause such cataclysmic losses that Wellington's army collapses. So that's where we are, and what I aim to do is just sort of record some snippets of it. I've given quite extensive coverage so far. I think it's worthwhile doing it. I'm finding it, although I had a long break, and it's always difficult to get back to a monster game like this after a long break, because every turn in the game represents a quarter of an hour, but it probably takes me half an hour to an hour to play. And so it takes a long time. It takes longer to play the battle than the battle took. And the thing is, it's not, the system is an easy system. It's just the actual manipulation of all the counters. If you're attacking, you have to pick up the counters, check the strength and so forth, and remove, adjust strengths and so forth like that. So the systems, I love it. It's a simple system. It flows really well, and I say simple. It's got a lot in it, but it does a lot in a very simple and effective manner. And the only real drawback for this system is it doesn't have any play aids. So unless you make up your own play aids like I did, it necessitates some flipping back and forth through the book. Of course, unless you have an astounding memory for details. But yeah, so I was kind of like dragging my feet getting back into it, because I thought, it's a big commitment. But now I've done it and I've played these last 3 turns, I'm loving it. And because this system is such a joy, it's just easy to do. And I found I was remembering it very quickly. I got back into it very quickly. There's not like lots of finicky details which were tripping me up every turn. In that way, I find it quite different from the simple La Batte rules. I'm not talking about the regulations of the year and so forth in La Battale system, which is a Napoleonic system which I like, but I'm talking about the simple, the old style rules that are brought out by Marshall Enterprises on their website. I don't know, that one doesn't have quite the ease of this one. But anyway, enough of that for now. I think what I'll do is I'm hopefully going to play 2 or 3 turns today, and then I'll come back and just show you what happened within that time period. What we're going to expect is the Prussians deploying more. They're probably going to take an hour to form up before they really start pushing forwards. The French are going here. these are just skirmishers, and this is the sort of front line of the Prussians. There's another front line of the Prussians. You have French cavalry here and here, and then you have French artillery all the way here, and some French already placed, and some French artillery coming up here. So the Prussians aren't really up to just steaming straight in. Their morale is quite low compared to the French, so the French could probably stem that. They need to do a careful concerted attack, so they're bringing up their cavalry, they're forming out their infantry, and they're going to have to wait quite a while till their guns are ready. So it'll take them at least an hour to form up. In that time, the French are already starting to go into attack. So this the 19th Division formed up straight from the road and moving up straight ahead to attack without further ado, and then the other divisions of their corps will be moving up behind them. The artillery's here is just to really keep them back, like the Dutch have positioned themselves below the roll of the hills so that the artillery can't fire on them. They can't really get any closer without coming under fire, and I think essentially they're just going to be a kind of backstop to enable the Prussians. They're not going to go into the attack. I think that would be foolish. It would just create more losses to Wellington. So he's just kind of holding them there, just so as like an while the Prussians get formed up, then the Prussians can come round, and then that they will move forward as the Prussians move forward. But it's going to be tricky against those guns. However, the Prussian artillery, cavalry are coming in. They could charge the guns. They'll take some losses, but those guns will get swept away quite quick without infantry support. These guns have infantry support. What probably is going to happen is that Napoleon will have to release some guard to support the guns there, because the 4th Corps down here is a bit too far away. It just depends how quickly the Prussians decide to get their cavalry into action, really. So that's the situation. Can the French disrupt the Prussian forming up enough to delay them for the 3 hours that Napoleon's hoping he will have, within which to release like a spear thrust of Imperial Guard into the rear of the Allied army? We shall see.